hands, it's not very cool in contemporary culture to be practical, but if you think about what those two things can do, hands linked with, the brain, it's quite amazing. And I was so fortunate as a young man to discover what I was good at, even though it was looked down upon. It was like, oh, if you're good with your hands, you're pretty stupid up here. Well, to have my own workshop at my ripe old age, I feel it's a prize that's been worth working for, because it never just dropped into my hands. Had some very interesting old cars over my life, but invariably had to sell them because I had nowhere to put them other than park them on the road, like wonderful Morgan three-wheelers that cost me 100, 200 quid each. They're now worth a fortune. And that's why I'm quite excited about the Rafro BVA that is almost ready to go on the road. Been working on it for 8 years, and because as a car, it's, I paid £5 for it, less than an average second-hand Ford or Peugeot. But it's such a beautiful car. It's made out of fiberglass. It's got a very strong box section steel chassis, designed sadly by John Rafro, who passed away this year in 2016. He was an absolute genius. And it reminds me of when I was at school. I've always been an odd mixture. I was both a sprinter. I got my school record at for what was then 440 yards, but I was also a long distance runner, and I always came first or second. And one of the biggest observations I've made throughout my own life is that endurance and perseverance, has been a kind of familiar thing to me. And certainly I could have really given up on this project, and probably people viewing this and some of the comments made probably say, forget it, buy yourself a normal car. But for some reason I'm not that kind of guy. I love unusual things, and I love the challenge of making something better, improving it. And one of the examples here on the Rafro is that I've restyled the headlights, and that's incredibly difficult. It's still not completed. Do you want to join in on my video?
Oh yeah.
My neighbour Vernon's always got something to say, but actually he's great, because working on your own is another challenge. It's not that easy, and to be pestered by your neighbour every 5 minutes does have its upside as well. Oh, sorry, I'm just talking about you.
Jeremy, I just wondered if you could do me a little favour.
You see, this is the problem with neighbours. Hoping to get it through the M.O.T. next week. Well, I don't think it'll pass, but it would be good to see what it fails.
Last week he said he hoped to get it through next week, which is now this week.
No,
yes.
Correction, I said a year ago I would get it on the road. So I think the important thing is to follow your passion and just do what you're good at. What else is there to say? Yeah, it's important to have the right tools for the job. Time and time again, a job takes far too long because I'm not using the right tools, and it can take a lifetime building up the tools. And I got many tools that go back to my teenage student years that are still in service. Plus a mixture of power tools, like this little power file, which has been so important for grinding out the fiberglass on the back of my the wheel arches to strengthen up the light pods, headlamp pods. So without the right tools you just can't do the job, and we're so fortunate with the power tool kind of revolution. That these tools are so available and at such a reasonable cost. I think another thing I'd like to say is that if you don't take a risk, this is really obvious, if you don't take a risk, then nothing venture, nothing gain. And yeah, I've taken quite a few risks, but what I've done is I've gambled on my own confidence of my own skill and experience. And it's true what they say, that a person should reach beyond their grasp. So, unless you really put yourself out there and try something unusual or different, you won't know whether you can achieve it. And to be in an environment using my hands, I hope I can share that kind of passion or commitment or whatever. Don't ever let anybody put you off. You wouldn't, there isn't time, and it would bore you if I gave you my life story, but I was not encouraged as a child to use my hands. Worse than that, I was discouraged. So I thought, I'll show the buggers. You know, do not negate somebody's creative talent. Celebrate it, encourage it, because it's a fantastic skill to be able to use your hands creatively. Okay, well, thanks for watching.